Shop less. Shop less. Shop.
Welcome to Shopless, where we meet retail and commerce media leaders and hear their stories on how they became the titans of industry that they are today. As we all know, it's not like you can go to college for retail media. Heck, I didn't even go do marketing. So we're here to explore those paths and unpack some fun, possibly a few side quests while we're at it. Thank you for tuning in, and on behalf of myself, Elizabeth, and Nick, welcome.
Shop less. Shop less. Shop less.
In the race for retail media dominance, most brands are already behind. They're battling bloated tags, 30% data loss from ad blockers, and a 50 millisecond window to reach a shopper before they're gone. Enter MetaRouter. Led by the architect of Walmart's original ad business, MetaRouter is the first mile infrastructure that replaces messy tracking pixels with a single private server-side stream. It's not just about routing data. It's about sub-second identity resolution that turns anonymous browsers into known buyers, all while keeping your first-party data locked inside your own cloud. Stop playing catch-up with yesterday's data. Own the first mile with MetaRouter. All right, Nick, are you ready to do this?
I am ready. It's so exciting to be back with you, Elizabeth, for another brand new Shopless. I'm very much excited to be surprised and delighted today by your guest.
Okay, you will be. You will be. I anticipate a fantastic conversation today, filled with some really depth nerd type knowledge, especially on a certain retailer that might be, based down in the South, because this person is not only experienced in the Walmarts and the Sam's Clubs and the retail media in general, but also a fixture on our circuit in the industry, both as a speaker and as an attendee. Was a friend of ours personally in the early days of the Walmart API. That first wave, we were in the second wave, and there was some, commiseration over that and beers in a certain conference. And I think you might understand or might be knowing who I'm talking about.
Yes, it could be the singular Mark Stamps.
The one and only.
The one and only Mark. Hello, Mr. Mark, sir.
All right. I'm in.
You are.
Nick, Elizabeth, thank you for having me in today.
Yeah. Do you remember that time though? Like when we met, like for the first time, all three of us, we were literally standing there at Cleveland Research with beers going, what is up with this API?
Yes. I did not know who you guys were. And then as we started to chat, we all jumped on to that. What is going on?
I just couldn't help myself. It was like I was so frustrated because we didn't do the first wave, and obviously Sky did. But like Tenuity, we had to wait because, just from a timing perspective. And I was like, what is even happening? This 3 months has turned into 9, which has turned into 12.
That's right.
Oh, yes. I would love to understand, maybe separate episode, Elizabeth, me asking you, what was going on in the background within Tenuity while you guys waited? Because we've got our own stories on our side.
I like that Mark's already jumping ahead to second episode. I mean, Mark, earn like a little bit of, come on. I mean,
there was I'm going to not mess up enough today that you'll invite me back.
Let's do that, because not only is there a story on Hustlin', but I got in trouble for something, and I think I can talk about it publicly now. Like I had to do some things that I think I'd be curious to see what you had to do.
Okay. Yes.
Well, I'm just excited you're here, Mark, because for me it goes all the way back to a 0-degree night where I didn't have a room at the inn in Manhattan, and after a meeting before the launch, down there in Bentonville, you and Michael were so kind to invite me into your Airbnb with an extra room, a lovely Italian meal there in Weehawken, New Jersey. That's the real host right there, who's not in his own city. He's hosting you. That's the kind of host Mark is, guest.
Well, that's where it all started, Nick. I mean, the fact that you wore matching pajamas, top and bottom. I mean, but pillow talk about retail media early days. There's definitely nothing better. But
that's right. You didn't make me wear the Amazon shock collar either, so
That's right. Well, if I could disclose to your guests the fact that you left no trace behind. Bed was made, towel was hung. I was like, did he even stay here?
That's right.
Well, your mother taught you well.
Leave no trace. That's my belief.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. I want to make sure that we, give credit due. where it is due. 26 years in the industry. Is that right?
Well, thank you for making me feel old, Elizabeth. But yes, been
Experienced. We
doing
say
this.
experienced.
Yes.
I like to actually roll in more than 30 because I did start in a Kroger pushing carts as a self-acclaimed super sacker. So if we're going to go and throw around big numbers, been doing this for even
that's
longer.
That's a great point, though. Like you started retail early, like very early. Was it called Kroger or was it called something else?
It was actually Dillon's out of Hutchinson, Kansas, one of their many banners. But anyway,
So is there a certain point at which LinkedIn just knocks that off the bottom of your history? Or are you not proud of these super stacker days, Mark?
After 25 years, they really don't care. But I don't know. My mother still talks about those days.
There you go.
Yeah, you remember your first retail job pretty hard, usually.
Yes. When they gave me at 16-year-olds a very sharp knife back in the produce department to cut vegetables, I was like, "What are they doing?" Anyway, I still have them all, so we're okay.
So how did you roll that then into Walmart? That was your first big role, or like big role in the industry. It was Walmart.
Yes.
You went straight to the top.
I was a math and computer science dual major. The only reason I did that is like you don't get into the hard classes of either when you do them both. So double major in math and computer science, and Walmart not too far from my small states college in Joplin, Missouri. They actually came into a recruiting fair, and I was one of the few selected to do an internship there at Walmart years ago, 96.
Woo.
So that's what got me in. They promised me a job when I finished college. And then I moved down to Bentonville, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed.
That's like peak boy band era too.
Oh,
that's quite
for sure.
The soundtrack you had rolling in.
Bye.
Yeah, exactly. What was that? 2000? That came out in like two.
Okay, yeah, maybe it was,
yeah.
Maybe Boys to Men. Maybe I should definitely have through.
All right, you're at Walmart. You're doing something that is not technically it's retailer related, but it's not retail media related because obviously that doesn't exist yet.
Sure.
So how does that then? Like you're there for a while, like 7 years.
Yes. Well, we're round up 8 years, as I like to do in LinkedIn world. Started off in the IT world and then graduated up into running their retail link, so their POS system.
That's why you know so much about that damn thing.
Yes. I didn't realize actually suppliers use it. I only thought internal people do. And then I got exposed to the supplier community who actually pull the data and use the data. And so that is what got me interested in looking elsewhere outside of the big house.
Got it. What goes faster, retail link or paint drying?
Well, if you hit refresh, it feels like it actually works faster on retail link. But I tell you, some of the queries that I put through that system, I would definitely say that 2 coats would have been done prior.
I got the sense.
What's the inflection? So you're studying, math and engineering. You get this like the ideal gig at an awesome big retailer. Working in building IT, building technology, kind of seeing the machine and building the machine. That's a complicated world to live in. And somehow in all of this, you start to see, the customer of these products. It sounds like internally and externally. So, because as you move ahead, and as I know of you, you're very much out in the world. You sell well, both yourself and your solutions and services. How does this shift? Where do you see, what makes you want to jump out of IT and tech into this like world of sales and bringing, things
That's
to market?
Great question. First, once you're not really good at something, you look for other things. So, so many times you could hard code and they're like, you're not a great programmer. I would also say in a large organization, especially within systems and developing tech solutions, you become so far away from the users and or the actual like manifestation of what you've built. So as I built all of these systems, I never really got to see like, is this really helping? And so jumping into the supplier community gave me a little bit more of a maybe an immediacy effect of I submitted this order suggestion and they said yes, and I see trucks flowing, and it felt so much more maybe instant gratification versus building sustainable systems that nobody will ever really applaud you for. So it almost is like that more need state of I want to show something for what I'm doing. So that's actually what got me into jumping outside of tech and getting more into, I'd say, analytics and sales.
Very interesting.
I don't know if you could, you guys have felt the same in some of your organizations. You've all been in very fast, nimble organizations, so I'm not sure if you.
I started out in legal. It was
Oh.
not fast.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I mean, maybe that's also something you want to see the impact. I think we talked about that in a previous iteration of Shopless. Was something that's been important to me in my career, being a part of a system that I could grok, and that like the work that I put in, I could see that there was output that mattered, and especially if you're at a big organization, I imagine that could be a lot harder to do when you're kind of, hey, just stay in the engine room, make sure everything is humming along, and then you're like, no, I kind of want to see how this plays out, right?
Oh, you said it very perfect. Yeah, you said it very well. I want to see it work. I want to be out in the front.
So is that how you end up at a brand? Or
I did, yes.
not just any brand. You're just like, I'm going to go big. I'm not going to go just like a little incubator emerging brand. I'm going to go global.
I wish it was that easy. It was just some guy who came to church and said, "Hey, I know your father-in-law. Do you want to come work for me?" And it's like, what? I don't know anything about sales. You're like, don't worry about it. And I would say back then, I actually went to Gillette that quickly acquired. I don't even put that on the LinkedIn profile because I think it was 1 month after I had chosen to jump ship outside of Walmart that P&G had announced acquiring Gillette. But back then, it was definitely looked or frowned upon to exit the big house and go to a supplier. I think there was a gentleman's agreement in the industry here. If you guys not been to Northwest Arkansas, there's a very fishbowl effect. So like we don't want to be switching.
You don't jump in and out of the supplier retailer dynamic.
Interesting.
Easily.
Yes, I cannot say that I've spent much time in Arkansas, let alone many of the Souths. I'm up in the Pacific Northwest. It's very far away. So like when you say gentleman's agreement, like does it mean that it's like harder to go back to Walmart if you wanted to?
Well, back then it was really frowned upon for you to exit, and they made it harder for you if you did exit on calling back on Walmart. But because I happened to be in not the merchandising organizations or had any power over decisions that would impact the industry, I got a check mark says you're okay to go. And so I did. I jumped into Gillette, and P&G bought us. So it felt like a little bit of a demotion, quite honestly, because I had a lot of access. Again, when you come from a big behemoth, you feel like you throw a lot of weight around, almost monopoly money at some point. And so it felt like I recessed a little bit in a career progression, but I would say that actually gave me I saw everything from store out through the customer. I never really looked like, why I ordered more. Why doesn't the manufacturer ship us more? And that then got me a lot of appreciation once I went to brand side to really understand the implications of the supply chain, the branding, the raw materials, the buildatives, the marketplace dynamics, all of the other things that a retailer just lacks some perspective on. So my acceleration of learning just took off once I went into the brand side, even though position and like authority might have felt a little bit less at the time. But plus, I got to give up my beeper, which was welcome.
That sounds like it's part of an honorable discharge. They
Here's my badge. Here's my key, and here's my beeper. So no more.
I think
no
that's
more
the most
midnight
90s thing you've
say,
said on this call is the beeper. But yes.
Give us the Boys to Men tapes.
I don't even know if I told my kids what a beeper was. They're like, "Is that what you use to change the TV channel?" I don't know. So,
no, that's a clicker. Oh wow!
But you must have liked it because you did 11 years at P&G.
Yes, I did. I did enjoy P&G. Partly because a lot of the transition of the Gillette folks in P&G, like, man, I don't know if I'm built for a big organization with lots of bureaucracy. And I was like, I just came from that place, so I don't know any better. So I fit in, but I think what felt great about P&G is that they put me in positions that kept me learning. And as a perpetual learner, being able to move around to different retailers and parts of the organization and get exposure to the capabilities that a big manufacturer does have and the resources that they have is pretty empowering as you continue to learn.
Well,
So
and looking at you the way you bulleted out too, right? Like stepping through those sales director roles across e-com, personal care, you're working with some pretty big portfolio brands, obviously focusing on a big customer like
yeah.
Walmart. You're basically running little businesses, little P&Ls. You're looking across sales, marketing, replenishment, finance. This is this whole little world. So you're going from like, hey, just run systems, kind of plugging in, set it up to this world of like running small businesses inside a big brand. Did that scratch the itch of impact? Like, where did you find, did that really kind of spin up your flywheel career-wise?
Yeah, what do they call it? Entrepreneurship
Okay.
inside of a company. I think I might have been lured into the impact that I felt like I was having on the industry when I said yes or said no to distribution or to ideas. I felt like at a retailer it was meaningful, and there was impact. And then creating maybe, so I did feel like that scratched that itch. The ecom piece was really an interesting one because that was back when I jumped into ecom. It's almost like if you had the ecom role, it was a special project. Like it felt like, especially selling heavy non-ecom friendly products.
Mhm.
And like, is this really a thing? I don't know. I want to ship around Tide in a bottle around the U.S. So
Hmm.
anyway, just didn't feel like it was like you could run the Walmart team or you could run e-commerce, and like nobody wanted e-com, but I actually signed up for that gig to run all of their Walmart.com businesses across all of their brands, partly because it was a little bit of that entrepreneurial, like
Yeah.
we don't know what to tell you to go do, but
Was
Why
here's a
didn't anyone
check.
want
technology?
e-com though?
What's that?
Like back then, why didn't anyone want e-com? They just didn't think the internet was going to be a thing.
It's so small. Yeah. I mean, you kind of gauged your worth based on how big your business was. And it was so small because consumables really weren't selling a lot online. Some of the early ones were diapers, which I think Amazon gravitated to early. But outside of that, less than 1% of business was being done e-com. And so, especially at Walmart, where they really didn't have a lot of the traffic. And so running promos and deals and trying to create packs was just like not going to happen. And so selling a $3 stick of deodorant and spending $4 to ship it just was not advantageous. So it was
Right.
just a small piece of the business. And so, but it gave me breadth across all the brands and then just gave me access inside of Walmart. And those were early days of say early days. I did start at Walmart when Walmart Online was a thing. That was early. That was around the time that Amazon was getting their start. And that's actually when
Yeah.
I started. So, but this was the next version of Walmart.com. They were still fairly new, especially in consumables. So P&G was a lean in.
I mean,
So that actually got me excited about let's go figure out things. How can we actually drive business? And in that very compressed ecosystem, you could instantly see results of whatever you did. And so that was actually pre-retail media. That was Triad. We had to negotiate with a third party,
mhm.
then would do some activations online, whether that be on-site promos, on-site displays, but it was all through a third party there. But that got me access to, man, if I do this, nobody else is doing it, so I can actually see what's going to happen. So you could put cause and effect in a very, I would say, a clean ecosystem.
This is some OG retail media stamp. I mean, we kind of gloss over a little bit of some of the marketing tactics you work with, selling in to a retailer, and certainly bringing up Triad puts you on the OG list for sure. But like getting into e-com, is there more technology there that you're attracted to too as you take that step? Is that part of why e-com, or was that a non-issue? It was just the
You know what? It
challenge of
might have just been just built into my DNA of at least appreciating some of the as a coder by education and a little bit by trade on early days. There's just some biases I might have from things that seem logical that I felt like I could impact. And whether it's tricking the system or at least working with the system, I felt like I had a little bit of an advantage over the traditional, dumb sales guy, who, air quotes, that just really didn't care. I felt like I could talk at least to some of the people out in Silicon Valley that could talk some of the lingo in terms of
yeah,
tech enablement.
interesting.
So did you call it internally? What were the first versions of Walmart that you called? Was it Walmart e-commerce or was it Walmart online? Like AOL.
Early days, it was actually Walmart Online, and I think that was
Yes.
probably the URL. So, there was literally we had a big sign like to tell you what team you were on, hanging from the drop ceilings inside of literally a shed outside of Walmart's home office. And there was a Walmart Online, and I think it was like 2 desks of people who owned it. You guys are
This is
running
the
the
answer I was
internet
hoping for.
right next, right next to the print room where everyone would go back and get their printouts.
Was it a dot matrix printer?
Now you're aging me. There was a dot matrix running there. You had to line up those holes just right on the
Oh.
side, or you would mess up. There's a paper jam on a dot matrix. You just don't. You also like throw out the machine. But
I was gonna say, did you just set the building on fire at that point?
yes, like it's not worth moving. It's not worth it. Yes, we did have dot matrix to print out some of your code early days. If you didn't want to spend the extra to have it on the LaserJet, that I don't know if you remember, Nick, you take those fresh LaserJet papers and sniff them because
Oh, man.
you can still smell the ink off of them. I don't know. It's kind of like early days sniffing glue as a programmer. It's like print something off on the laser printer.
Things Gen Z will never get to experience.
Listener, we've been sniffing things. I don't know what's going on over here, but the printer paper is definitely a warm laser printed sheet of paper, and oh yeah, there's something to that, Mark, for sure. Yeah. So in the paper division, though, at the end of your time at P&G, you work with Bounty. That's a pretty big brand. Were there any major stories from that time at P&G that you wanted to highlight? I mean, I generally, Elizabeth and I were talking a little bit about you got at Walmart, you got singing songs as a group to start the day, and P&G. I mean, is there any more of that culture at P&G, or what are some of the big standout moments there?
I would say in a big organization like P&G, you do have your pockets of culture. I would say the paper division, they call family care, is very much like a family. So I would say the culture there was led with lots of great brand leaders and great salespeople. So they gravitated. I think it was maybe the ability to pick and choose, and so you kind of created this ecosystem that felt very lightning in a bottle-esque. So I would say some great years in family care in the paper division. Any notables? I mean, it is always that joke of I sold the biggest thing I sold was a huge roll. That we get to name the rolls as we add paper, and it was 2.5 times. I just was trolling the store shelves the other day, and they have a 4x roll of, but I think it might be even smaller than what I used to sell. So I don't understand how that paper's getting thinner. Anyway, the roll equivalence was probably one of the most understood magical formulas out there. Like, how do I tell how many pieces of paper are here? So
you didn't challenge each other at work or at happy hours at the end of the day who could say the quilted quicker picker upper the fastest and however many times in a row? No.
Well,
please tell me it was a drinking game at some point.
Well, I would say the brand teams were always amazed with at the end of every rainbow there was a pot of gold, but the end of every sales call was a bar. So which we would all yes, drinking games were had by all and ways to keep us entertained. The quicker picker upper. So if you double tongue there, Nick, from the old trumpet days, you can get you can win. You can always win out, no matter how many shots of Jaeger you've had.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, retail media leaders, a quick reality check. You're being asked to deliver incrementality, closed-loop measurement, and AI-ready data on top of infrastructure built on client-side tags and stitched IDs. Whew. That's the gap. MetaRouter fixes the first mile of your data, moving collection server-side so you get deterministic, privacy-compliant data flowing directly into your clean rooms, CDPs, and activation platforms. The result? Faster sites, materially better match rates, and data you can actually trust across Amazon, Walmart, Google, wherever you're activating. If retail media is becoming a data business, and it is, MetaRouter is the layer that makes the rest of your stack actually work. MetaRouter. Fix the foundation, unlock the upside. So then you step into another brand, though, before you begin an illustrious agency career? Where do you head after P&G?
Yeah, so after P&G, and I would say, why did you leave P&G? Part of working in a big company like P&G, one of the things is they would hand you a ticket and say, this is where you're going next. And so my wife and kids, she had always said, we can move around until a certain age of the kids. And then she said, then we're just staying in that location once they hit a certain age. And we hit that age. And then we said, and the P&G wanted to move us back to Cincinnati. And so in honoring of my family, I said, we're going to have to look for an alternative. And so, and in Northwest Arkansas, Elizabeth, that if you've not been, and you should, it is probably one of the most unique places in the world where all of these global top 100 brands are sitting right here in terms of the largest sales organization, retailer. It is just a interesting ecosystem. So I just go down the street and find another global company to work for. And I jumped in with Mars Wrigley, selling to Sam's Club at that point. So it was a way to flex muscles a little bit in terms of selling to club directly, a little bit different than just selling to traditional retail, and getting into the food arena. After I've left household needs, from personal care and beauty outside of P&G. And I would also say early days for Walmart e-com, Sam's Club e-com, that my experience at P&G became a lot more attractive. So that special project that I did going e-com at P&G actually created a little bit of differentiator for myself in the ecosystem, as many brands had not leaned in yet to try to sell things online. So that actually got me on the radar of selling things online as Mars looked to sell more gum and candy and pet food online.
But you were working on not gum and candy. You had different brands.
No, I actually had gum and candy. I was selling Lifesavers, Skittles, and Double Mint. So yes, to Sam's Club. Did you know Sam's Club was actually the largest global customer of Skittles? So
wow.
Did you see the NFL did one of those shorts where they took Marshawn Lynch into the Skittles factory, and I think it was his best day ever outside of that whole Super Bowl thing.
It'd be interesting taking a Skittle right off of the plant, right off of the line. They're actually very hard. You'll probably break a tooth. They actually have to cure after. So you can't take a fresh Krispy Kreme donut and it's
teeth.
Great.
Yeah.
It's actually quite hard. They actually have to cure afterwards. So that's a little secret.
So did you also then receive an unlimited supply of these items? Anytime you wanted gum or candy?
No, thank goodness. Although I was the coolest dad for my kids, I would say my weight peaked during those years. As all you can eat candy out all the time.
Not a benefit I want anymore. Please stop. So one of the big things that we chew on in kind of retail media now is where are the budgets coming from, and having all those years on the brand side, a little bit pre kind of obviously this grand acceleration of retail media. We talk a lot about, all right, is trade maxed out? How do we get more brand dollars in? How did you guys at Wrigley, and maybe if this was the case at P&G, when you're selling into these retailers, how did you think about the co-op negotiation or the trade spend and the shopper marketing influence that was either on your team or that you were driving strategy for? How did you think about that on the brand side? It's sort of an interesting backstory I'd like to hear.
Yeah, I would say back in those days, it was very much church and state. It was as separate as silos can get. There was no trading dollars back and forth. So it all came out of trade. Any type of activation, I would somehow have to fund that through a mechanism of sales, not through marketing. Shopper marketing would have been a siphon off of some of that, but almost as a tax in which to support that. But man, there was very strict separation of marketing activations versus trade.
Would you go so far as to say that kind of sales resented marketing, or?
Yes, because they're like, why would you run these programs? I can't fund my temporary price reduction, which I know drives sales. And so it was almost like, give me back those dollars so I can hit my bonus number, hit my quota, and not necessarily considering brand equity. I will say that at Bounty, being in the belly of P&G and working with that team, I was a very crotchety old sales guy, and I had to end up going to brand sensitivity training as this is
Wait,
terrible.
there's
This
such a
this
thing as brand sensitivity training?
well, they created one for me, yes, because you got to talk to creatives very artfully. So you got to tell them how great it is first. Make sure that they feel enabled and enamored. That man, you are unique and different, and then you can tell them some suggestions on why their packaging ideas don't look good. So,
The
Is it
compliment
like, do they
sandwich.
identify the brand as like part of their personality at some point? Because I
oh,
worked with a
everything that
group
they
that was like
produce.
fragrance, and I was like, holy crap, this is a different world.
Yes, yeah, very similar. Yeah, yes, very similar. You have to. It is part of them. So, but to your question, Nick, is that's when I get close to the brand, I really appreciated some of their. That was one of the first things to get cut when in the headquarters. Like, man, how are we going to make our profit numbers? And they would, if you said, hey, we're going to cut TV back then. I mean, you would hear the screams of someone's arms getting cut off. Like, that will kill the brand. And like, are you kidding me? As a sales guy, like, I'm going to go drive a rollback at Walmart and you can forget about, like, we'll make these numbers. And it was just the appreciation of what brand building and awareness and long-term equity means for a brand. And I always kind of kept that in the back of my head. In a frontline sales role, it definitely felt very much like I need those dollars, but I always remembered this long-term lasting effect of a brand and the fact that you even know Bounty and what it's withstand. And yes, there's great technology in some of those products, but it's a lot of great branding. The fact that you said quicker picker upper and that's been around for how long?
Yeah.
That recall is actually what brands are trying to do.
It underlined this all is like if you're unable to tell, in a clean way that sales can understand the efficacy of a marketing dollar or strategy or branding strategy, then you're missing the opportunity to kind of be running together as a team, right? And I imagine
that's a huge challenge. I'm sure you guys are feeling that right now. As performance media becomes, I would say, the TPR, the temporary price reduction of sales of past, like it's so quick to see what you get for it. And if you go upper funnel, it's like, why would you do that? Look, and you kind of very much equivalize. And so in trying to teach a salesperson or even a performance marketer the importance of some of the upper funnel awareness tactics for the long term viability of a brand, it's just hard to teach that in a 30-minute Zoom call.
Yeah, or 7 years trying to build up this industry in some cases too. It's been a challenge.
There's one thing I want to hit on before we go to your leap to agency. You saw the birth of Jet.com while you were at Mars Wrigley. Tell us about that.
It was such a distraction at that time. And why I say that, it was because, I mean, when you see Walmart not making investments, and then all of a sudden you read the newspaper and you see, I'm sorry, the newspaper, like I'm so old. you read their text. Jet sells for $3.3 billion to Walmart. You just like, for what? And so it felt at the time did not feel very strategic in what are you getting for this? And as you took a peek at the business model, you're like, I don't think this is sustainable. And so it did not. But now that you read some of these look backs and you listen to some of these interviews from Doug McMillon and the reasons why, and quite honestly caused quite a bit of chaos internally with Greg Ferran being the chief merchant and operator inside of Walmart and thinking, I'm the one funding all of this fun that Mark Lori had brought. But I think it put Walmart on the map. And now as you look back those 8-10 years, it changed. It was the abrupt disruption that they needed in which to change the trajectory of their personification to shoppers and to the industry in which to hire talent. So I really respect what they did. Was 3.3, too much for that? Maybe, but I think they're now reaping the rewards of where they currently exist.
I would agree. Like it sounded based on just even what you were talking about from how you worked there and how you work with them going forward. Like there's a there's a mentality and a culture, right? That like when they call it Walmart online, like how do you get them just to .com?
Yeah.
And well, you buy jet.com,
Yeah.
and then you have this big thing that you can't ignore. And I guess we're
Yeah.
doing the internet now.
Yes. Yeah. I'd say Walmart culture is a great training ground, but also it created, I would say, innate go-to-market like persona. And when I say that, like a sense of urgency, things like the sundown rule and just frugality, all of those become such I would say, ingrained in you as an associate that has probably come with me even after those years
Tell me what
at
the
Walmart.
sundown rule
Yeah,
is
for
from a Pacific
Carla in
Northwest.
Michigan. Yeah, what's the
Yeah.
sundown rule?
That was actually, and I'll probably call myself out if anybody who knows me, and I haven't gotten the email back to them. The sundown rule was one of the things that Sam Walton had always encouraged is if anybody had elevated an issue, that there was always by the sundown. So by the end of the day, you send a note, whether it's fixed or not fixed, at least there's an update by the end of the day so that people aren't left wondering. So there was always like a sense of urgency in which to try to fix the issues by sundown. And if you didn't have a fix, you're like, here's where I'm at. And that was just one of those just the commonplace things of people who worked at Walmart and who have since left that it almost seems, especially now with the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas, that there's just no like response mechanism. So in need, and I feel like that is always is like just a quick update. Just let me know so I can sleep at night. So
It's like Amazon, Amazon has day one, obviously. And the first time I ever heard when someone goes, EDLP, and I was like, what was EDLP? And then they're like, everyday low prices. And I went, oh, that makes so much sense. But
yes, well, they might have to change that based on their front page selling some Louis Vuittons. They might EDLV coming out of the weekend. So,
ooh, pun intended.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
Well, I was just going to say we could go on and on with the experience that you have inside brand side, but you've had a now storied career helping build a really amazing business in Northwest Arkansas that covers and touches so much of what we've already discussed. So tell us a little bit about Harvest Group.
Yeah, Ross Coley, he was one of the founding members. Gosh, it's been over 18 years ago now, which seems long in agency worlds as you see these agencies build up to sell. But they started with a mission in mind and wanting to create a culture first and then build a business around it. And so I think that's what's helped propel its longevity. And the guys did come out of Procter & Gamble, which I think gave them some of the visibility to the resources required to serve a brand well inside of Walmart expectations. So it really was a founding mission to support brands that just really didn't have the resources available to them in which to compete versus some of the big guys. And so they said, we can build this customer team. And quite honestly, a bit of a maverick, kind of taking a page out of Sam Walton's book of swimming upstream a little bit. They saw that there was an industry that was broken, specifically in the brand representation broker world. So they wanted to say, I want to disrupt that. They've earned a bad stereotype. I want to disrupt what that means to the industry and help brands. I say punch above their weight, but serve Walmart in the right way. But in doing that, surround them with a customer team to help support all of the different functions to serve retail well. That again, go ahead, Elizabeth.
I was gonna say, did they find you or you found them? Is this another like church? Like
that's a great question. Ross made friends with a colleague of mine at Procter & Gamble, and it ended up at a coffee session. And I would say there's some spiritual nature to that, but it was just more of an outsider view as I got to kind of watch from the sidelines of Harvest Group over the years until, and they've actually even brought me in as one of the few in Northwest Arkansas that knew anything about .com, just to help. Like, what should we do? Should we go build an office in Seattle, or how do we think about e-commerce? Again, we supported a lot of brands that were consumable and food items that just didn't sell much digitally.
Yeah.
So as they're trying to place their bets going forward, they pick my brain. I'm easy if you just buy me a sandwich. So It was just great to help them from the sidelines. But as how do I get in? Is I saw there was such a gap after leaving P&G from the larger manufacturers in Northwest Arkansas. They didn't know anything about Walmart.com, how to serve that ecosystem, and so I was going to create my own business. I didn't. I just said that. I don't know how to do that. So I asked Ross, I was like, "Hey, do you want to like? First of all, I don't want to sell my 401ks. Do you want to invest in this? And also, can you help?" And he's like, "Just come do that for me." So he helped fund my entrepreneurial journey inside of Harvest Group. So that was one of the first forays of Harvest Group into some of the digital space at Walmart.com, because that was the time that Walmart's like, "Hey, you guys do a good job helping brands get things on shelf and sell through. I need your help on Walmart.com. How do we elevate our game there?" And so bringing in some of my expertise on how to manage that digital shelf. From big CPG, and then that actually opened up the opportunity for Harvest Group to serve larger brands outside of just the smaller brands we were representing inside a store, because everybody needed the help. So that was kind of flexing our muscles into a new space before all of the digital shelf metrics and scraping all went live, and all of those tools. We were manhandling that through Python scripts and Excel workbooks. So, but that kind of started our endeavor into the digital space.
So much of this space, right? You have people claiming to be these experts in retail media that come from media, and you can get pretty smart about retail media coming from media. That's not a dig, but coming from commerce, coming from being a brokerage firm, bringing in a Mark as an entrepreneur. Where do you see this merger between commerce and brokerage firm into becoming a holistic commerce media and commerce function agency? And is that a dynamic that was, sort of an obvious thing for you guys, or did you have to introduce media more? How did that come together for you?
Yeah, it was never a whiteboard session, Nick, where you would put like, we need to do our own ad tech so that we can be in the front seat for retail media. I would say the majority of all of our innovation that we have created over the years has all been driven out of necessity and need in which to serve a customer. And quite honestly, I think that even macro that up to like Jeff Bezos at Amazon, I think they were just serving a customer, and then they evolved into what it is today. I don't know that he would have ever said that this is what I want to go do. So similarly, in a much smaller fashion, obviously, was us just serving our brands. Mm-hmm. And that just naturally occurred for us to then help serve them as we, hey, I can help you sell your items. You had a great line review. We helped you build your selling story. We got your items selling in. We helped you forecast to make sure that you got the right sell through, creating demand, and then we can get your items online and get the right content. Just part of serving them well. And then, hey, there's a new portal that we can help click and advertise your items on a cost per click model. The need out of that, and Elizabeth can appreciate, I just couldn't push the button fast enough on my mouse. And that's why I just knocked on Walmart Connect store, Walmart Media Group at the time. Like, I got some smart guys in the back that can spell API. Can we plug in? And again, wasn't to monetize this thing. It was just so that we could serve our brands better. And right place, right time, we got the nod to be an alpha partner with Walmart Media Group to codify up against their APIs to be an advertising partner. And I think it's just all based on needs, not because it's something that we saw. We put the puck. We saw where it was going, and so we wanted to chase that. It was just more happened based on serving.
Whereas on the Tunity side at the time, we had the playbook from an Amazon perspective, and that's right. To click the button fast enough. It was to serve the customers, but also because we already knew what worked in terms of like how to build that relationship and how to build that business. And we're pretty bullish on the internet. We think it's or like apps, and we think so. So that was one of the reasons we pushed as hard as we did. I was actually at Commerce Hub when they did the first integration post Triad, but before I left. We did a webinar with them, and there was like 12 questions asked. 10 of them were mine. And at the time I was like, you know what? Just going to go ahead and hit pause on this because I don't think you guys are quite ready. But call me when like V3's up.
Yeah, that's funny.
In the race for retail media dominance, most brands are already behind. They're battling bloated tags, 30% data loss from ad blockers, and 50 millisecond windows to reach a shopper before they're gone. Enter MetaRouter. Led by the architect of Walmart's original ad business, MetaRouter is the first-mile infrastructure that replaces messy tracking pixels with a single, private, server-side stream. It's not just about routing data, it's about sub-second identity resolution that turns anonymous browsers into known buyers, all while keeping your first-party data locked inside your own cloud. Stop playing catch-up with yesterday's data. Own the first mile with MetaRouter.
Shop.
All right, so let's see. It was 4 years ago, almost to the in 3 weeks from now, 4 years ago exactly. The Walmart Media Group launched down in. We were at a brewery down in Northwest Arkansas, Mark, and a lot has changed. You've built up so much at Harvest over that time since Walmart launched. I would love to dive in if we had another hour and another episode, which I'm going to shoot for, to go even deeper into just what it takes to kind of come from commerce into media, or for media companies to think about getting into commerce, and which ones, into commerce operations and selling, brokerage type stuff. But so 4 years on now, where are you guys focused? What are your key, kind of key things you're chewing on for your customers? Clearly a theme of customer obsession here. What are they asking you for?
Yeah, I'd say two things they're asking for. And one thing I think I need help with to solve those things. First is the measurement piece is continues to pop up, whether you're talking to a CEO, CMO, or head of sales. Like I need to know if it's working or not. And not just media. Is it media working and media metrics, but more, am I selling more stuff?
Yeah.
And that's hard. As you have so many ways in which a consumer can purchase and or interact with your item and fulfill it, but understanding when I do something, and again, as you step back, if I advertise on Walmart, can I actually sell more at Kroger? If I run a TV wall ad at Walmart, does my sales at Target go up because Walmart has such a big foot traffic? Like trying to piece together some of those things is not easy. But brands are just almost like, I have to know. And so I think measurement is one that we need to attack. As to your earlier point, Nick, the silos are there. The I would say the backslapping and then backstabbing is happening inside of these organizations. Of how do we work together? Data will be the only way in which to prove that out. So I think measurement.
How rapidly has that changed in the last 4 years? Just even when you see these first-party agents coming together like Crisp, who are starting to aggregate 50 different retailers, normalize it, put it in the right place. But then we're getting the marketing cloud maturity. We certainly in the Amazon paradigm, not quite there yet with Walmart, and Luminate and Connect are kind of two separate orgs. But now with Gen AI, that you can run hundreds of regression models in 30 seconds to start to get to some of those questions of like, how does TV wall ads affect club sales?
Yeah.
Like we're on the precipice there, right? I mean, I assume you guys are surfing that wave.
Yeah. So in fact, that Gen AI aspect is the one that our customers aren't asking for, but we need to adopt to solve, because the data is just it's plethora is not even a good word for it, but it's so massive that to be able to do something with that for a meaningful action is just imperative. And so how to do that at scale, you need the power of Altman's new campus down in Texas to churn out what do I do? And actually, it's not that the data is not there. It's just nobody knows how to get at it at this point, even if it's contained within an agency's ecosystem. There's no dashboard that brings all those things together. And so I do think that there's a need for accommodating anybody inside of an organization to ask a basic question, seemingly basic. How big's the coffee category at Amazon? It might be contained somewhere in your organization, that answer. I want to be able to ask that and get an answer, so then I can quickly go to a decision based on what that might be.
It's amazing how quickly that's being short-circuited. Like we have this enormous database of product marketing resources and competitive insights and things like that. And you have to go find a document and then sift through the document to get an answer. By then you're on this call, the call's over, but you can train up a GPT on that whole corpus of data and ask a natural question to it, and it will serve up the exact bullets of what you need to know about whatever the issue is in your call or the competitor or the market signal. It's fascinating.
Yeah, and it's not that far off, especially with some of the operator AIs that we just launched over the last few weeks. And so, how you leverage that. Now, I would also say that some of the prompts remind me of the old team building exercise where you try to get someone to build a peanut butter sandwich, and you have to say exactly the right thing, or they're putting peanut butter all over their hands. You're like, oh, it's almost exhausting the prompt.
Yeah.
Like, I go back to a Google Ask, and you're smart enough to figure out what I'm asking. And that's why I think we have to evolve to, because these long prompts, like, never mind. I should have just gone and got it myself and trying to tell you what to do.
You get three-quarters of the way through it, and you're like, well, actually, I wrote the document, so I'm good now.
But this means that your retail link, patience and persistence may pay off here.
That is right. Patience and persistence. Those are two words that probably people around me would not ask say that were qualities. But I'd say the other thing, Nick, to answer your question on what is both customers, which we say are our retailers, and our clients, our advertisers and our manufacturers, are really needing to get at what a consumer voice. So I'm going to put consumer voice in air quotes, because a lot of times what consumers say doesn't really mean what they mean. So a survey won't always capture what they mean. So I think somehow collating a voice from either trend spotting or what do people think about this new thing. So there's different places in which to get that. You could, even TikTok today, we're all worried about the Chinese government getting it. That's all public stuff. If you have the right scraper, you could go pull that yourself. Yeah, so, right. and start to get a lot of information about the population. So I do think that, how do I collate that enough to give confidence back? Ultimately, when I launch a new product, how many should the retailer buy? How do I know it's going to be successful? How many things fail in terms of products? Man, if I could cut that down for a manufacturer, that is meaningful capital savings.
Have you seen what Adam Stave is doing over at Swish Brand Experiences? Have you seen? It's super cool. He's basically, and I'm sorry it's an aside, but you brought something up about waste that was like, it's all in the sampling space, and there's just billions of dollars of waste in the sampling space as it relates to like how difficult it is for the organization to come up with the unique packaging, the fact that a lot of, it's hard to measure. I mean, there's a whole variety of things. I'm not going to sell it for you, but he's basically created a digital first kind of demand side experience that feels a lot more like a DSP, where you're effectively using whole units inside e-commerce retailers as your sample offer. And you can buy based on audiences, and it's connected to the e-com system. So it like knows, I want to target people that generally buy chips or whatever, and I'm selling the salsa, Tostitos salsa. And so then at the end of the checkout experience, you get this salsa, you pay like for an audience fee, obviously the cost of your product. And then at the end of the checkout experience is, hey, Tostitos wants to just give you some salsa. It'll come with your order. You can, if you don't like it, you don't have to take it. Cool. So your ad spend is the cost of the product and your audience fee, right? And it's all bought kind of classically like digital media. And it's starting to take off like within these retailers, and thinking about this as a way to more, reasonably get sampling out there. And from a customer acquisition cost on that marketing, instead of spending like $50 to get one of those units sold, you're spending $8.
Well, that's super interesting. The traditional challenge of that's been is integrating that into the checkout process within any of these retailers. I mean, it is like, oh my God, trying to interject can you put a pop-up right at checkout? They're like, oh my God, no. Coming from the belly of the beast, I can acknowledge trying to change code, but I think that's the only integration issue. But I love the concept, and I can speak. We have a client, Dude Wipes, where it really did not take off until people were forced to use it, and now it's taken off. So sampling works. Yeah. So that was a forced sample. So
yeah, that's interesting. I know I want to be cognizant of time. You've given so much today to help tell your story to the shopless audience. Maybe we can do a little quick fire round though, Elizabeth.
Okay, let's rock it out and wrap it up.
The things our audience loves hearing about.
I got a list. We have to have you back because I need to ask many more questions about conferences in general. But quick fire. Oh yeah, that's a whole other
conferences. Thing. We can have a few minutes for conference. He's the conference.
Conferences are. Yeah, I have a strong bias, so I don't know.
Okay, so I have one out of the box question is like, why do we go to CES and not NRF? Was it just because CES got there first? Like, why do we like? It seems like there would be a more natural fit, but I guess in 5 years, when I think about like hardware perspective, but man, I'm at CES a lot, and every day is packed. But then we don't go to NRF. But I know there's some people that do both.
Yeah, I don't do both, and partly is driven by attendance. So I think it is a chicken or the egg at this point. I think what we do today in terms of retail media integration probably has a more natural tendency towards NRF. But NRF, in terms of content, doesn't seem to cater to the media components of that versus CES. I think a couple of years ago, the insurgence of retail media platforms needing to get their name out there and very closely associated with, if you want to sell more of your consumer electronics products that you're seeing at the Grand Hall, you need to use us. So I think that the retail media networks then had created its own community of followership, and that's why we're at CES.
But like
versus NRF.
Samsung TVs, Samsung ads, LG TV, there's quite a bit of that. I think was maybe an interesting merger point as well with CTV somewhere in the middle of it.
Well, I mean, this year looked way different than years past, I would say. And it was definitely a media heavy event. And almost retail media was a little bit suppressed as they were almost saying, I need to make my play towards some of the holdcos who might be holding some of those dollars. But the proliferation and splintering of auctions was very evident. And then the community that's built out around it of different service providers and innovation and tech enablers, yeah, it was loud at that conference. And I think it would be hard to differentiate yourselves, because it sounded like as I was eavesdropping on all the meetings going on at these random bars, they were all having a very similar conversation, saying the same words. So to be different is now to stand out is the challenge.
What's your favorite show?
I don't know that it's a show, but I would say I get the most, and this is content driven, not because of partnership driven, but I think content driven. Cleveland Research Ecom Summit still offers some of the most valuable information that feels less guarded and more organic. Some of the larger conferences, the actual contents, if you were to go, seems so scripted that it doesn't feel meaningful if you are in the biz. Now, a lot of our partners don't attend that because a lot of our partners are retailers and our networks themselves. So that's a missing pink part. But if content, I would say that's one of the higher ones that I feel like I learned something and from my peer set, and it felt more inviting in which to grow the industry and the sector versus just reading off of a script.
And Path to Purchase Institute, I struggle with their shows from a content perspective. What do you same, similar? I mean, they got good speakers usually. It just feels surface.
Yeah, I think what's happened with that particular one is it became, I'm going to say, pay to play. And I think they might have taken their ball off of pushing in for vetting content. Like, what are you going to talk about? And then driving that relevancy back to their community. So I think there was a little bit of a disconnect with who's up on stage and how relevant that is to the people who are attending. There's obviously demand. So the last one I went to was sold out with waiting lists. So there's obviously demand in the industry for that.
But who's going? Is it brands? Is it agencies? Is it vendors? Last one I went to was very heavy on vendors and agency.
That's who is disproportionate and or early stage e-com and or shopper marketers inside the brand. So it's like, I'm just going to shows to learn. And so he's like, so you could wow somebody talking about content is king at some of those shows. They're like, what?
I just can't. We don't have time to get in that. What other event would you recommend if you don't belong to the Cleveland Research conglomerate? And maybe not Path to Purchase? What else is out there that you would say like?
I'm just because I was perusing LinkedIn this morning. I think you're going to have one, Elizabeth. There's a Tenuity one with Sky that's going to be like that's
our virtual summit. But
hey,
hold on for that. I got something coming. You'll see. But besides that, like something a little more accessible.
Man, I don't have a long list of those.
What do you think about like Expo West or
that's a
like
great
Natural Products Expo?
So flipping a little bit outside of partnership and just industry learning, I think my best show is Expo West. partly because of the brands that are there are of all ranges. It is startups, talk to the founders about why their product and the passion that they have. It is so engaging. But there's larger brands who are looking for growth, who are looking in which to then capitalize on some of those trends or early stage. And so I would say that is one of the better shows that drives a lot of inspiration from products. And the mix of people is those people who are looking for options and solutions and help me. And so I think that's one that we've really enjoyed high engagement with. And it is
Awesome.
Leaders of those companies. So.
And speaking of samples, I heard there are many.
Very much many. The only problem with that is that you get filled, if undisciplined, you get filled up real early in the day on samples. And then when you have them all, if you are of the mindset that I am, like, how do I pack all of these back home? And so you just have that dilemma, like, do I carry on or do I pay the extra to check my luggage so that I can get every flavor that I picked up here? So there's definitely a sample. Nick, I need to talk to this Swish to see if they can get all the samples sent directly to my home.
I mean, one of the case studies that he told me was people didn't know they could get ice cream in e-commerce grocery delivery, and pretty big wow for the category to understand that they could get a lot of new customers if they leveraged sampling. All right, super quick fire.
Yep, let's do it.
All right, your kind of industry crush or admiration.
It's probably more of a persona versus a person. Sure. I know that's terrible.
Yeah. No, you can take it anywhere. You could make it a retailer. I don't care.
I would say people who are mavericks that are helpful mavericks that also are practitioners. And quite honestly, I'd put both of you guys in that camp. Smart practitioners. You're not just blowing smoke. You've actually done the work, and so you can talk, but you also aren't just going with the flow. So I think there is a little bit of maverick nature. So other people I've put on the list, I think Carrie Masters in the industry. I think she drove a little bit of, I'm not just going to say what Amazon wants me to say. Brian Gildenberg always makes me giggle and always makes me think differently with some of his speaks. And I mean, Jeff Bezos would be great just to meet, but I think what he was a maverick of and focused on serving, I think that actually was the precipice of some of the things at Amazon.
Interesting.
So I would think those are, I mean, obviously Sam Walton, some of those, I think it was just like, I'm doing something not to make money, but to serve. And I think that that has helped propel. I'd probably throw my own, Ross Coley, which I get time with, but the CEO of Harvest Group, being able to create a company with a culture that I think makes it very attractive for people to join and stay.
Well, you have a good admiration list, and we're both honored to be included in that. We'll edit it down to the no.
Yeah, that was definitely way not quick. Rapid.
All right, how about this one? Airline.
American.
All right, hotel group.
The closest and the cheapest.
Yeah.
I don't have an affiliation there.
Apple or Android for your phone needs?
Apple.
You are the blue in the text.
Yeah, the bubble up blue.
Favorite bev to relax with?
Coffee.
Coffee.
Is that bad? Is that bad?
No, some people have coffee before they go to bed to chill out.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that, but which actually the next in the list is how do you take your coffee?
Oh, dark and black. There's something to just that, and hot. Extra hot if I could. So
amazing. And
so if you don't have blisters on your tongue, then you need to warm it up.
Mark, we've taken up a ton of your time today. Thank you so much for joining us
this was fun. Get to hang out with people I admire.
I have so many more questions. You have to come back.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd love to riff. No, this will be fun. Sorry, I took everything sidetracked, but it was great to.
No, this was great. Like hearing about from the beginning, like from like pushing carts at the Kroger. I'm sorry, I already forgot, but I just remembered it was Kansas. Yes. from a location standpoint to like the IT career to sales, brand side, agency side, all of it. This is, you don't get to go to college for this, right? Like this isn't.
That is true.
Yeah. In the early 90s, you weren't like, I'm going to grow up to be a retail media guru. Like that's.
Yes.
What's your?
I did have an AI class in college, and we had to program the path of a velociraptors in which to then to kill their prey. So
it's very Jurassic Park of you.
Yeah, yes. Kill their people. Wait, the prey. Oh yeah. All right. Final question. It's a bonus question. If you just someone who is a junior employee coming into this space, what's your advice for them right now?
Just say yes. Just try it. Curiosity will win. So give it a try.
That. I love that. Mark, thank you so much. You've been a
pleasure
guys. To host. We look forward to chatting again, hopefully in another episode with you. And thank you for supporting Shopless.
All right. Well, I'll see you at Expo.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See you.
Yeah, Mark.
Bye.
Oh, Elizabeth, he's awesome, isn't he?
Yeah.
I love hanging out.
Oh, my stupid! I have sunlight today. It's a Seattle thing, you know. I have one window and it shows up between like 9:30 and 11.
Listener, we don't get a lot of sun here in Seattle. We like to tell everybody that, but reality is we do.
Yeah, and I had to keep moving, and I was like, but this is all audio right now, isn't it?
Yeah, all audio.
Okay. So we're good.
But super grateful to have Mark on the podcast today. Just very much, you know, an industry veteran that has seen pretty much every side of our industry. What a just friendly person to chat with too. I feel like we could have done 2 hours
easily. And I need to find out. I need to send him some coffee. We got to send him some Seattle coffee.
I know. Got to send him some Seattle coffee. Well, Elizabeth, I hope you have a lovely day, and we'll see you on a new shop list coming down the pike.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Left. Shop. Left. Shop. Less.